we continue on race weekend from Daytona International Speedway. Today is the running of the Budweiser Duels 1 and 2. Now, we've already had the front row for the 500 basically determined by pole day qualifying. Jacob Lawlor will be starting on the pole, James Qualls in second. However, they are not absolutely guaranteed those spots until after they make it through these two Budweiser Duels, because they may end up getting caught up in a wreck. If they have to get caught up in a wreck and they are not able to get that car repaired, they'll go to a backup car, and a backup car means you start at the rear of the field. So a lot of eyes are going to be on Jacob Lawlor here today, see if maybe he'll just hang back, try and just ride this out. I mean, he doesn't need to win this Gatorade Duel, or this Budweiser Duel. I apologize, I'm going to be saying Gatorade Duel all this race. I always seem to do that. But if he can just survive, he'll start on the pole for the 500 regardless where he finishes here. This is basically the race to see who's going to start on the inside of row 2, row 3, row 4, and so on, and then the outside of row 2, 3, 4, and all the way back in the Budweiser Duel number 2. So basically for Lawlor and Qualls in these two respective Budweiser Duels, they just got to survive. They'll still maintain their spots on the front row for the Great American Race. But we're going to see what the rest of the starting lineup will be as we're going to get the command to fire them up.
Drivers, start your engines!
And these are the drivers that all qualified in the pole day qualifying in the odd numbers. James McLeod was third fastest in practice, so he starts second for this Budweiser Duel. Buchanan was fifth, Sullivan was seventh, Blaine Keys was ninth. You get the picture. You take a look at the top of your screen, you'll see your starting lineup for this race. Two drivers have to start this Budweiser Duel from the rear due to going to backup cars, and they are the machines of both Jessica Shelton and Noah Hart. So keep that in mind. We'll be seeing if they can make their way to the front. Now, being in a backup car after pole day qualifying does not mean that you have to start in the back of the pack for the Daytona 500. So if Jessica Shelton or Noah Hart can work their way up here through the field, then boom, they're up there winning this thing, and they would start on either third or, in third place for the Great American Race. Now, there's another thing that you got to keep in mind, too. Jacob Lawlor, let's say he doesn't keep his car clean here, and he does wreck and have to go to a backup car. If that happens, this could potentially be the race for a new driver to start on the pole for the Daytona 500, because the entire inside line moves up a row when the pole sitter for the 500 has to go to a backup car and start at the rear. So that could be a huge factor in this thing as well. I have a new headset plugged in, and the sound comes through pretty doggone loud. So I can barely even hear myself talk, so if I'm yelling, I apologize. I'm just trying to make sure you can hear me over the roar of the engines. But here we go, 10 laps of racing. Caution flags are on this time, as opposed to those three heat races we had here. And Jacob Lawlor going to try and survive this race to start on the point. Who's going to start third in the Daytona 500? Things remaining calm, at least early on here. Now one driver peeks out of line. That was Isaac Canepa. Stays in line behind Tanner Sullivan, though. Oh, man, back there was one car really close to another car's rear. That's James Silverfox, really close to the left rear of Winston Rivers. And now let's see if they're going to start fanning out here on the back straightaway. Tanner Sullivan moves low into the middle. Henley trying to come up the inside line underneath of Blaine Keys for third, as Zach Buchanan now comes down and he'll hold that second position, at least for now. Blaine Keys up and into the wall. James McLeod almost was into him as well. Oh, Keys into the wall again. He and McLeod dropping back very quickly as now the battle's on for the lead. Zach Buchanan with help from Sean Henley going to the inside. The Extends car being helped by the Viagra car. That's irony. Oh my goodness. And now Sean Henley goes to the point. Ian Dutta going to push him there. Dylan Young now moves to third, and Jerry Guerra is going to move into the fourth position, I believe. Trying to see what car he's getting drafting help from. That looks like that's Henry Cavanaugh in the 136. So two drivers that had to race their way into the 500, the 49 and 136, were working together for a brief moment. And Ian Dutta goes to the point. Here comes Henry Cavanaugh up the inside line. Jacob Law, the pole sitter's in the wall, and Bandit Gonzalez got turned by Silver Fox. Several cars spinning, including Winston Rivers, Joshua Collard, John Cittadino. Caution flag is out. There's Rivers, there's Gonzalez. Levi McIntyre was collected, along with his teammate Austin Weiner. John Cittadino was in it. for the most part, didn't look like very many drivers got a whole lot of damage, and there is right side damage to Jacob Lawler's machine. Nothing fatal, though. I think he'll be able to continue. And it looked like the whole start of that one was Jacob Lawler. It looked like he got up into the wall. Oh, wait a minute. Does somebody have damage on the front back here now? That's Buchanan. Must have run to the back of somebody. So Buchanan's got front end damage now, but I think the whole thing started, I think Jacob Lawler, he may have been trying to drop back, let everybody on by, and just ride around in the back, and I think he got up into the wall off of 4, and that just stacked up the whole outside line. That's when Silver Fox ran to the back of the checking up Gonzalez, and that's what caused the whole incident. You see the smoke lingering in 4. Ian Dutta is the leader of this race right now. Looks like Zach Buchanan will be coming to pit road. Lawler has got more damage. What happened to him? Now his front is all crunched up. Uh-oh, it looks like maybe a lot of drivers stacked up on that pacing. A couple other drivers coming to pit road here as well. McIntyre, Rivers, and Gonzalez. We could have a number of drivers go into backup cars for the Daytona 500, including the scheduled pole sitter for the Great American Race. This could be the battle, folks. This race could be for the pole position in the 500. Caution flags out, though. Let's jump back, take a look at the replay of what happened. And Lawler was practically up into the wall all the way through turns 3 and 4. I'm not rightly sure how Brandon Gonzalez didn't run to the back of him. There you see, Gonzalez he does make contact there. He's trying to find a way through, and then Winston Rivers doesn't know what's going on, and he gets into him as well. And there was something up ahead, too. Citadino, I think, turned Zach Buchanan into Joshua Collard. Was there contact between the 65 and the 72? Looks like we had 2 different wrecks in 2 separate places. Yeah, Buchanan's running the middle groove here. Citadino, I think, wanted to go 4 wide. Buchanan comes down to block, and then they just all get turned around. Collard gets clipped. Shelton's spinning. Canepa does a really nice job getting through there. There you see Gonzalez. Noah Hart got spun around. Winston Rivers spinning around. Austin Weiner, I think, may hit the 72 of Citadino. Oh, maybe not. Oh, Gonzalez then goes up, hits Collard. Blaine Keys almost gets involved, gets around low. McLeod goes around on the high side. I don't know where Austin Weiner exactly got his damage. And then there's Winston Rivers in the 17. So there were 2 separate incidents. Oh, there, right there. Austin Weiner just got a tiny piece of Brandon Gonzalez. That's where he got his damage from. So there were like 2 separate incidents there. 2 drivers kind of bumper locking, bumper grabbing on the high side, and then like a block from Zach Buchanan on John Citadino in the middle line, which definitely was not going to pan out well for drivers, and that's what caused the whole wrecking. Now, a lot of drivers, though, did get damaged after a backup on the back straightaway under pacing, and one of them was the pole sitter scheduled for the 500, Jacob Lawler, as well as a number of others. And we're going to have to see if they're going to have to go to backup cars for the Great American Race, or will they be able to continue. But that was a wreck that really didn't, cause a whole lot of damage to drivers, but the backing up on the back straightaway is definitely going to play a huge factor into who's going to be starting where when the green flag waves for the 9th annual Daytona 500. So let's head back now for the restart, as Ian Dutta is our current leader. Now the lights are out atop the pace car. We'll go back green, but a lot of stuff developing here early on in this race. We're actually just past the halfway point. 3 drivers have officially retired from this race. Jacob Lawler has taken his car back behind the wall. So that means that Jacob Lawler will be starting at the rear of the field for the Daytona 500, giving up his pole position spot. Now, the interesting thing here, though, is that he is still going to be scheduled as the winner of the pole award, which means he gets into the Sprint Unlimited via that next season. But whoever wins this Gatorade Duel here now will be starting on the pole position for the Great American Race. Levi McIntyre and Brandon Gonzalez have also taken their cars behind the wall. Zach Buchanan and Winston Rivers are both listed 1 lap down. I don't know if either of them have returned to the track or not. Nope, they both sit on the pit lane still. They may actually be retiring soon as well. So at least 5 drivers that we know of are probably going to be going to backup cars for the Daytona 500, including the scheduled pole sitter, Jacob Lawlor. So this is now the race for the pole position for the Daytona 500. Ian Dutta leads, Henry Cavanaugh is second, Cody Lamas third, Henley fourth, fifth Jerry Guerra. Then it's going to be Dylan Young, Isaac Canepa, James Silverfox, Tanner Sullivan, and Jessica Shelton's the top 10 as we are back green. Zach Buchanan returning to the track. I don't know if he's going to come out ahead of these guys or not. Hopefully they'll be able to get around him on the back straightaway here as Henry Cavanaugh pushing Ian Dutta through turn number 2. Yeah, I don't think they're going to have a problem with merging with that 65 unless he comes right up in front of somebody. They're going to all have to move up to avoid him. Oh, whoa, whoa, Buchanan, what are you doing? That was not a safe merge. Nowhere close to a safe merge. And now they're all going to try and get around him here as now James Silverfox gets held up, Blaine Keys as well, and now Buchanan's going to peel off and head for pit road again, so that's going to at least get him out of the way. And that's going to allow 5 cars to break away here at the front. Henry Cavanaugh going for the lead now. Cody Lamas moves into second. Jerry Guerra into third. Dylan Young now fourth. Dutta slips back to fifth. And now are these 5 going to remain separated, or will a second group be able to catch them in time? 2 to go at the line. We've seen this all week long at Daytona where a number of drivers, they just break away and the second group's not able to bunch up enough to catch them. But right now, they're 3 wide per second while the second group is single file. So maybe that second group can produce enough speed, play a factor here in the finish of this race. Canepa, Henley, Silverfox, Blaine Keys, and Noah Hart are all in that second group as Henry Cavanaugh leads the way. This guy had to race his way into the 500 in one of the 3 heat races, and now he could possibly sit on the pole for his very first Daytona 500. But Ian Dutta, he's got a drafting partner in the 49 of Jerry Guerra, and I think maybe Buchanan's returned to the track again. He has. I don't know if he's going to be coming back to pit road one more time again. I don't know if he's just out there logging laps, maybe just trying to make sure he doesn't have to go to a backup car for the Great American Races. Here comes Ian Dutta to the bottom. No drafting help yet, and that second group is caught. Here comes Canepa. Here comes Henley. Here comes the James Silverfox machine, and I thought I saw Blaine Keys, but no, I was looking at Dylan Young. Here comes Dutta. Canepa looking 3 wide as he had 2 tires down on the double yellow line. White flag in the air, 1 to go. Guerra gets the wall. Buchanan is still up ahead. He could be a factor in all of this here in the final laps. Canepa to the point. Henley moves to second. Dylan Young into third. Will Henley make a move on Canepa? This is for the pole position starting spot in the 500. Here comes Dylan Young down low on Henley. He needs drafting help though. It's not coming. Henley's going to tuck back in line. Canepa leads. Henley second. Dylan Young third. Will Henley be able to make a move on the 8? Coming here out of 4. He's close enough to make a move. Will he make it? Here they come out of turn 4 for the final time. Sean Henley seems content to ride behind Isaac Canepa. Canepa will win the Budweiser Duel number 1, and as a result of Lawlor retiring from the race, Canepa will start on the pole for the Daytona 500 here in Season 9. What a great run there for Isaac Canepa. It's been a rather difficult speed weeks for him. He ended up wrecking in the Sprint Unlimited. He did come away with a 6th place finish there though, damaged car and all. Didn't qualify too particularly well in pole day qualifying, but he's going to win Budweiser Duel number 1, and that puts him on the inside of the front row for the Daytona 500. Henley's going to start the race off in 3rd. Dylan Young will start the race in 5th. Silverfox will start the race in 7th, and Henry Cavanaugh will start in the top 10 for his first 500. He will start the 500 in 9th place. 4 drivers will be in backup cars: Winston Rivers, pole sitter Jacob Lawlor, Levi McIntyre, and Brandon Gonzalez. So they will all be starting at the rear of the field for the Daytona 500. Tough break there for Jacob Lawlor, who was scheduled to start on the pole for the 500, but now, due to having to go to a backup car, Isaac Canepa will be doing the honors of taking the green flag. So, that's a look at the way that they finished this race. Let's head now to Budweiser Duel number 2 to be able to finish out the starting lineup for this season's Great American Race. So it's going to be the same deal here in this race as it was in the previous Budweiser Duel. James Qualls, who qualified for the outside of the front row for the Daytona 500, in the same situation that Jacob Lawlor was in. Now we know that Lawlor didn't rise to the occasion. James Qualls is going to be on pins and needles here for sure, as his spot for starting on the outside of the front row could be very well up for grabs before this race is over. So we'll see what the guy out of Sanford Racing's able to do. He'll start alongside of the Mercedes of Nathan Hudson, who will be making history, being the first Mercedes to take the green flag in a Snickers Cup Series points event. Dougie Shears and William Duncan line up in row 2. Sean Galligan and Bob Jones in row 3. Only one driver had to go to a backup car in this race, and interestingly enough, that one driver is Michael Norman, who actually in the backup car during Daytona 500 qualifying had the 6th fastest lap. So bear that in mind. That's one lightning fast Doctor Who Chevrolet that he's got, and he could maybe work his way up here to win this thing, and if he did, he would start 4th for the Daytona 500. Here we go then. James Qualls ready to get us underway. Green flags out. 10 laps of racing here in Budweiser Duel number 2. Everybody appears to remain single file for the 2x2 racing here so far. It's when we get to the back straightaway that they start fanning out into 3-wide formation, and that's when things start to get just a little bit testy. See if anybody's going to make moves here. Sean Galligan going to be the first to go, and he may have a teammate in Joshua Michaels who'll go with him. No, Michaels instead staying in the middle line. So Galligan doing it on his own. Now he's going to get help from Anthony McCurry. Oh, Joshua Michaels really close there to almost turning Dougie Shears in that middle line, as they are 3 wide, several rows deep coming off that corner. William Duncan got the wall, almost came down to Kyle Corbett. Nice job of avoiding the 83. That was close. Michael Norman's running the apron there, going underneath of Kyle Matthews. He's still on the apron, is Michael. He's got to get that car back up. Now he finally does, it looks like, but he's given up a couple of positions in the process. Anthony McCurry now goes to the point, and now Norman comes back up on track right in front of Chris Washer. Here comes Charles Sanford, former Daytona 500 winner. He's coming up the inside line, help from Fitzwater, Dunham, and Jackson, and he's going to go to the front. Oh man, they are racing like crazy up here, but they are keeping it clean, at least for now. I probably just jinxed it. They're probably going to wreck coming out of this corner. And there they go! Bob Jones just got flat out turned, got flipped over after hit by Joshua Michaels, and James Qualls was involved. We could have an entirely different looking front row from what we expected for the Daytona 500. Fitzwater is the leader under this caution flag. Dougie Shears was in it. Pote, another car is upside down at the start-finish line. That's Jones again. His car upside down after he got nailed by Michaels. There's Michaels on pit road with him. Pace car is picking up the field here out of 2. Don't back into each other, please. We had it happen in the first Budweiser Duel. Don't have it happen. Duncan slowed down. He didn't. Duncan didn't slow down. Harrison Langford's got damage now too. Dougie Shears runs into the back of Dylan Pote. Why do they do this? Michael Norman, I don't know if he got some damage out of that or not. And oh boy, there is the guy who was going to start on the outside of the front row for the 500, James Qualls. Good grief. I don't think we've ever had it before where the 2 drivers who qualify for the front row both are going to have to go to backup cars. This is the first time I remember that ever happening. Oh man, James Qualls, tough break for him. I don't know who's rightly going to have to go to backup cars. William Duncan and Harrison Langford might have to after the backing up into each other on the pacing. There's Qualls. I know Joshua Michaels is on pit road along with Bob Jones. They'll probably have to go to backup cars. And Zachary Fitzwater in a single car team this season, in his sophomore season, is the leader of Budweiser Duel number 2. Let's jump back, take a look at a replay of what happened to involve the drivers scheduled to start in second for the 500, James Qualls and a number of others. Alright, let's see if we can pinpoint this. I think it starts with Bob Jones in the 27. He's pushing Sean Galligan. Eric Burton is very close to his left rear. And yep, Eric Burton's going to get into Bob Jones, turns him down right across the nose of Dylan Poteet. Then Burton shoots up the track in front of James Qualls. There was nowhere for James to be able to go. And then Bob Jones' car is over on its side. When Qualls comes down and hits Joshua Michaels, that just flips the 27 over. Michael Norman also gets a piece of it there as he got spun out. Ooh, Michaels almost comes up into his teammate there of Washer. Hudson gets around on the high side. William Duncan going to try to do the same. And then if you think it's over for Bob Jones, well, no, it's not. William Duncan actually, I think, may get a tiny piece of Michaels here. I don't know. Look at Cole Daly and Danny Wells snaking their way through. Harrison Langford's able to get through there. Now you notice back there, James Qualls, yeah, he spun out and everything, but his car does not look nearly as demolished as we saw it when he was over on the aprons of turns 1 and 2. That's because I said Bob Jones' troubles aren't over. Well, it's actually going to be James Qualls, ironically enough, that's actually going to be hitting Bob Jones again. Watch here. I'm not rightly sure what was going on with the 70. He had plenty of room to be able to come back up the track and be able to get around the upside down 27, but 27's kind of sliding up the track too, and then Qualls just hits him. Qualls just flat out nails him, and that's what caused Bob Jones to actually be propelled all the way over practically to the start-finish line. Now, I don't know if James Qualls blames Bob Jones for the fact that Eric Burton shot right up in front of the 70. I mean, the fact was Bob Jones actually got turned by Eric Burton. He actually didn't start the wreck. Burton did, but it just doesn't make sense to me, though, that Qualls would try and take out his anger and frustration on the 27 and basically take himself out of starting up at the front for the 500. I don't really understand that, but there's Bob Jones' car coming to rest, still on its roof. He spent a long time upside down there, did Bob Jones in the Reddit Chevrolet. But that is what put us under the caution for the first time here in Budweiser Duel number 2. Let's head back now for the green flag. Okay, so 2 things that we know as we get ready to go back to green. Number 1, we will be having a new person on the outside of the front row for the Daytona 500. And number 2, we're going to have a very interesting looking top 5 that I don't think we expected to see, coming into the 500 after pole day qualifying. I think we basically expected Lawlor and Qualls were going to start on the front row. They were going to survive the Gatorade or the Budweiser Duels. Not going to happen. We have drivers that are out of the race here, 5 of them to be exact. Harrison Langford, William Duncan, James Qualls, Bob Jones, and Joshua Michaels. They will all be going to backup cars in the Great American Race. So, like in Budweiser Duel number 1, where the race was for the pole position for the 500, this race, Budweiser Duel number 2, is for the starting position of 2nd for the Daytona 500. Tell you, this has gotten awfully weird. Isaac Canepa will be starting on the pole for the 500. Who will be starting alongside of him could potentially be his teammate Trent Dunham, maybe. We could have a Sega Motorsports front row for the Great American Race if Trent can win this thing. I don't know, though. We're about to find out what's going to happen. Green flag's going to come back out with 4 laps remaining. Zachary Fitzwater is the leader. Green flag is back out here at Daytona. It's Fitzwater, Dunham, Jackson, Sanford, Matthews, then Corbett, McCrory, Galligan, Burton, and Washer. That was the top 10 for the restart. Here comes Charles Sanford underneath of Charles Jackson for the 3rd position. As everybody snakes their way down the back straightaway, it looks like Dougie Shears will not be a factor in this win, as he has very quickly been left in the dust, damaged 46. Fitzwater trying to block 2 lanes of traffic as, oh, look out! Burton just got turned again, and a couple cars went up into the outside retaining wall. Race could end under caution now. And Sanford's not making a move here on Fitzwater. Is the yellow flag out? It is indeed. With 3 to go, this race could be over under yellow now, and Fitzwater could be winning this duel and starting on the outside of the front row for the Great American Race. But who was involved in that wreck? Oh, Michael Norman involved again. That's going to be a second backup car he's going to have to go to, it looks like. Cole Daly, Kyle Corbett, they were in it as well as Chris Washer. And the yellow flag rears its ugly head for the second time here in the second Budweiser duel. 2.5 laps to go. I don't think we're going to get back to green flag racing. I'd be very surprised if we did. Fitzwater, the leader. Sanford, McCrory, Galligan, and Dunham. That's the top 5 right now. That would be 2nd, 4th, 6th, 8th, and 10th starting spots for the Daytona 500 if the race ends under the yellow flag. But we are going to take the opportunity real quick to go back, see what puts under the caution. Eric Burton got turned by somebody there in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Yeah, and watch here. Amazingly enough, it's going to be teammates that are going to get together, I believe. I think it's going to be Kyle Corbett and Charles Jackson, maybe, that are going to get together. Yeah, Corbett turns his teammate Jackson down into Eric Burton. Burton slides back up the track, but he didn't really cause the follow-up wreck. Corbett came up into Cole Daly and Chris Washer, and look at that. The 88 up and on his side. Oh, and then Norman plows into the upside-down Cole Daly machine, and Dylan Poteet, I think, may have gotten a piece of that as well. And his car actually going to spin out. He kind of does a little bit of a four-wheel drift on the apron there. Wow. And Daly continues to flip over. There's Washer's car coming to rest. His car obviously done. And then, wow, and then Cole Daly going to barrel roll into Michael Norman. Wild rides there for a number of drivers, including Corbett, Daly, and Washer. Michael Norman collected as well. Charles Jackson getting a piece of it. Eric Burton and Dylan Poteet all getting slight pieces of this incident. As that's what put us under the caution and potentially is going to end this race under the yellow. Let's head back now for the checkered flag, because I believe the white flag has been displayed and the yellow flag is still out. So they are currently in the turn 2 area. The display of the white flag happened just moments ago over the hood of the John Deere Ford of Zachary Fitzwater. And it looks like, barring any mechanical problems, which I don't think are going to happen, Zachary Fitzwater will start alongside of Isaac Canepa for the Daytona 500. How ironic, both Canepa and Fitzwater came into the Snickers Cup Series last season, in Season 8, as rookies. And the both of them, in their sophomore seasons now, in Season 9, will both be starting on the front row for the Daytona 500. Sean Henley finished 2nd in the Budweiser Duel number 1, so he'll start in 3rd, alongside of former Daytona 500 winner Charles Sanford in the 03, who will finish 2nd here in Duel number 2. As they come out of turn 4 at 85 miles an hour, you see the survivors there on your screen. They will not be going to backup cars, but a number of other drivers will. As Zachary Fitzwater, due to James Qualls' problems here today, will be starting on the outside of the front row for the Daytona 500 and wins Budweiser Duel number 2. Race standings should be official. We'll take a look at them. Michael Norman, Corbett, Daly, Washer, they'll be all going to backup cars as well. I believe that's a total of 14 backup cars that we will be having in the Great American Race. Wow, that's almost a third of the field that's going to be in backup cars. Wow. So Fitzwater, Sanford, McCrory, Galligan, and Dunham will all be starting in the top 10 for the Daytona 500. And we will be showing you at the end of this video where everybody is going to be starting, what your starting lineup for the 500 will be looking like after the events that have taken place here in today's 2 duel races. Well, hope you guys enjoyed today's Budweiser Duels. If you did, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. You've already seen your finishing results for this duel. The results for the first duel, if you didn't see it, are after the first duel. You can check back earlier in this video for it. And last but not least, this is the final thing that we're going to be having before points races begin with Trucks Mobile and Snickers Cup Series races here from Daytona International Speedway, capping it all off with, of course, the running of the 9th annual Daytona 500. So Isaac Canepa will start on the front row on the inside. Zachary Fitzwater will start on the outside of the front row for the Daytona 500. Here comes the official starting lineup for the Great American Race for this season. We will see you guys next time as you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.